the first ever WFRV Cardboard Club show. My name is Devin Willems. You may see me on other WFRV Plus platforms like the Nearfall. I had to think about that one for a second. Obviously, other Cardboard Club episodes. There will be multitude of episodes from now until who knows when. But with this being the first episode, it'll kind of just be one of those ones where explain a little bit about the show, kind of about me and some of my introduction to the hobby and some of the stuff that I have in my personal collection. So just kind of jumping right off. I mean, like I said, I'm been a huge cardboard collector, if you will, for a bit. I was born in 1991, and let's pop this right on the screen. But this, my dad got me. This is kind of what the show's about. If this had to mean one thing, it's not necessarily the value of the cards or what it's about, but the stories behind them. So this 1991 Score Collector set, which has 900 player cards, 72 Magic Motion trivia cards, was licensed by the MLB. Isn't worth much. To my knowledge, last time I looked, you could get it on Amazon for $40, as you can see there on the screen. eBay, I think you can get it around for like $20, $25. But the price isn't what's cool. It's the story behind it. Like I said, I was born in 91. My dad bought this for me right around 1991, if not 1992. The date changes every now and then, but somehow for the last 34 years, 35 years, 34 years, this thing has remained sealed, And every now and then when I see my dad, he always says, "You still have that old box of baseball cards?" Yeah. As a matter of fact, I do. It's right here. But, and I think it's very fitting that I think the best card in the set's this one right here. The Griffeys, father and son, Ken Griffey, obviously junior and senior. But just like I said, the story behind the cards is what's cool. Not necessarily the price or the look. Just it's really cool to have this and still have it sealed. Again, it's not worth the same amount of money. I mean, right here on the front, looks like you have Nolan Ryan, Kirby Puckett, Terry Shumpert. I don't know who that is, and then the two Griffeys. So it's who's we got over here? That Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt, Bob Welch. But regardless, this, I don't want to say this started my card collecting hobby, but it's just kind of cool to look back that even as a newborn baby that I had cardboard near me. So I think that's just kind of like what I said, one of the cool stories now my dad, obviously continuing growing up, he wasn't the one that got me in or collected a lot of stuff, but this right here is one of the best things, I would say. It's kind of what the show's about, is just exploring other people's passions for cardboard, collectibles, whatever it may be. It doesn't even need to be sports related. It could be Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, you name it, Yu-Gi-Oh, sports. We'll kind of explore it all here on the Cardboard Club. So kind of tying off that, the show's premise really will, each episode, besides this one, we'll have, actually on it, maybe even the next one, we'll have somebody on it here at the station who has some sort of passion, whether that be Blake Borse, who really likes sports cards. I'm sure we'll have him on at some point. Other people throughout this news station, doesn't even need to be on-air talent. Could be sales, could be engineers, could be our floor crew, could be our digital people. But just, obviously not everybody is a trading card fan, but including anybody who has a passion for stuff like this as an avenue to highlight that, explore it, go behind the stories. Whether it's a really expensive card, a really cool card, a really cool looking card, cards with stories behind it, sealed product, whatever it may be. That's the point here at Cardboard Club. So I'll take this box out and kind of transition into, really my magic, or not my magic, but my my card collecting history as a kid, kind of growing up. I remember opening Fossil and base set Pokemon, Gym Heroes, Team Rocket, stuff like that. I'll Neo Genesis, opening up. You always, in the late 1990s, early 2000s, that was like the big thing. Everyone's playing Pokemon, whether that's card wise on their Game Boys, but it was certainly a popular item to have. Now, fast forward, 24 years later, can't say I still have every single one of those Pokemon cards, but not too long ago, I'll put this on screen. I actually went through an old bin that we had downstairs at my parents' house that had Pokemon cards in it. I kind of wanted to go through them, see what was in this. So this is my binder, but this page right here is everything that I pretty much have pulled out of that bin of Pokemon cards. I mean, you have a first edition Dark Raichu, secret rare from Team Rocket set. Let me quick get it out of here. It's not in the best condition. Obviously, it's been in a binder or it's been in the bottom of a bin for a while. But I don't really remember opening this card per se. But I do always remember having a Dark Raichu. I didn't know it was first edition. I mean, it was obviously going back, when was this? Let me quick pull it up here. 2000s. It's still printed by Wizards, who now does Magic, or still did Magic at the time. But now Pokemon does their own cards, so it's stuff like this that's really cool to have. I mean, Erica's Clefable, I was always a huge fan of the Jim's Hero set, Sabrina's Alakazam, Rocket's Mewtwo. This is kind of like the Raichu page. You have base set Raichu, Dark Raichu, first edition, and then E-Reader Raichu, and then this secret rare out here, I kind of find in the bottom of the bin. Now, this card is obviously, I think was relatively expensive. I think it was around $200 or something. But growing up, I had two brothers, and like most brothers, we always fought over cards. So in order to, stop people saying, "No, that's my card," or whatever it may be, my stepmom had a idea to solve that issue, and that's the issue right there in that bottom right corner of the card. Write the first initial of whoever had the card, whoever owned it. So D, obviously, Devin, or Drew, my brother. Hard to know exactly whose card it was, but just stuff like this is it would be cool to have. But the story of having you and your brothers fight over everything. Now, it's not in the great condition. You can see in the bottom. I mean, it's damaged. Obviously, then with the D, it's even damaged more. But that's the point. Looking back, when I saw this, when I flipped it over and I found it out of that bin, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of a cool card." I look up the price. I'm like, "Wow, I think it was like $200." I mean, this is damaged, so it wouldn't be the same as a brand new one, fresh out of the pack. I turned it over and saw that D, and I immediately remembered how we put initials on the bottom of the cards to say who was who. But like I said, you have a first edition Venomoth, not in great condition. Just some more older cards that you can see at, Dark Arbok here on the bottom left, Dark Golbat, two Mux. I think both are unlimited, not first edition. A couple Mr. Minds, a Magneton. I'm not gonna go through this entire binder, but I don't know if quick can see it. But this Lieutenant Surge's Magneton is one of, the Jim Hero set was one of my favorite sets here growing up as a kid. So anytime I could scoop that up, I was pretty happy. But I'll go into this a little bit more, probably on the next episode. I'm going to call it a grading episode. I have some cards that I'm going to send in to get graded, and then kind of go over what that's about. And hopefully then in a few weeks, maybe months, depending on how long it takes, kind of come back and see the results and see what grades come back. But so that was kind of like Pokemon, obviously growing up, that was the way to go. Then I got into Magic, and Magic has my wife would echo as certainly not been the most cheapest hobby. There's been no shortage of stuff. I've played Magic, I would say, for probably 10 years or so. I took a little bit of a break, but somehow I always just keep coming back. And quick going into it, I mainly play CDH now, and having some of these cards are crazy. I remember when I used to play Legacy, I had multiple Mox Diamonds, Taigas, and now, Mox Diamonds anywhere from, depending on the condition, anywhere from like $300 to $600, I think. So it's just kind of crazy to see if I would have kept those cards and go into them. But this is my CDH deck, Rocco. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I've tried to bling this out as much as possible. So it's just kind of cool to see, some of the cards. I mean, Rocco, I'm just going to highlight some of the top ones here. But some of these alt arts, here, let me get the deck out of the way. But some of these alt arts are just, not alt arts, but like Secret Lair are really cool. You have an Academy Rector, SpongeBob, they've just been doing a lot of Universes Beyond. So there's so much more kind of like crossover from Magic and other games. You have Food Chain in like a VHS horror style cover, Kiki Jiki in an SLD, Secret Lair, more kind of some Mana Rock SLDs, Arcane Signet Talismans. I really like the way that these look, especially in foil. Lightning Bolts, just again, more in Secret Lair. I think one of my coolest, like Bob's Burgers art, treats you as an ogre, just stuff like that. And then you talk about the art and kind of what they are. Magic has gone through so much art over the course of, I don't even know how long game's been going on. They just had their 30th anniversary, but I really like the white border. They went through a white border stage, both Spirit Guides and Skyclave in white border, and then you have the Future Sight cards, which came out. I don't even out of Future Sight, and I really like those arts. So I have, Tinderwall in this art, but just stuff like this is one of the cool ways to almost express yourself through a card game, is being able to have really cool looking cards. Some really cool like pack foil Mirrodin, Chrome Mox. Yeah, that shine on there is just it's really cool. And these I think this came out in like early 2000. I think it's in 2003, 2004. But I mean, just that foiling I think is really cool. A pack foil Felidar Guardian. I remember playing Standard when this came out, but that's kind of how I got in. Was just I think I played Commander with my roommate, and then it just spreads into Standard and other games. But then you also have your older cards. 2 duels. Only card I'm missing out of this entire deck that's proxied is a Taiga, but a Plateau and a Savannah, both really, I think they're $200-300 cards these days, but a really nice condition. Plateau centering's a little wonky, but Savannah is in significantly worse condition. I don't know if it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of just see like the rough, I would say HP or damage on them. But it's just cool to have cards like that. You have Judge promos, Lord of the Rings, again, the One Ring. Just kind of crazy to see all the overlap. But just some of the art on these cards really expands on what the game is and kind of how you can express yourself. I believe the total, last time I looked, this deck is $3,000. That's with, not including the price of a Taiga, which if I had it, I think it would be $3,300, $3,400. It's all in Moxfield, all with the exact same printings. So it's just, it's crazy that some of these hobbies can even get up there in value. And again, the value isn't necessarily in the cards; it's almost in the story. I mean, the cards hold value, and that's always nice to have. So it's crazy looking back on it now, where it's like, okay, I've spent this much money on a hobby, and here you are with a bunch of cardboard, right? And that's why it's a cardboard club, because there's only, it's not for everybody, and everybody has their own passion. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, I'll kind of transition into some other Magic stuff quickly before ending with some of my graded Pokemon cards and what to expect on future Cardboard Club episodes. So stay with us. We'll be right back after these breaks. Hello and welcome back to the Cardboard Club. I'm your host, Devin Willems. We just got done talking about my personal CDH deck and kind of like my piece of resistance, if you will, of Magic the Gathering. But besides that, I mean, there's so much more as I grab behind for more. But just Magic is one of the. I'll take that price down. That's not the price of this deck, but just. There's just so much that you can do with it. I have a Valgavoth Commander deck, really fun. Just a different. I mean, it's pretty popular, but it's just like a different way. There's so many different ways to play Magic. This is a very kind of like damage based deck compared to like land deck or a control deck or a aggro deck. But there's just so much in EDH, let alone Magic to begin with, that it's just crazy to have the options to do what you want. So like I said, I was kind of touching on before. I started on CDH or started on EDH, went to Standard, played Standard for a bit, then got into Modern, then went into Legacy, and then kind of stopped playing, back into Modern. I've traveled to Cincinnati. I've played on streams here, mainly on Frost Giant Games a while back when they had like Monday Night Modern. So it's just so many different ways to play the game. It's part of me, it's cool to I was able to go to Cincinnati, Milwaukee, wherever it may be, to go and play. And that's some of the best parts about it. I don't know if I have any other really crazy Magic cards with me. I did play Dragon Ball Super for a bit. That was pretty fun. I think I took my best finish ever was like third in states. It was just really cool to get in a game that was near launching point from Bandai, and now it's still going on. But it's crazy to have cards from so many different card games. It's hard to be like I only do this, I only do that. So much of it bleeds into one or the other. But just like one last commander deck I'll show you is, Nelly Borka, just kind of more of a combat-based deck, but it's still fun to play with. Normally, I would say if I had to design my colors, I'm an Abzan player. That's why I first started black, green, and white. But let me quick close this, and then we'll go into kind of what I'm doing now. I mean, I still play CDH mainly, but now I've kind of transitioned into collecting Pokemon cards, Getting some graded is something that I think is next on my list, but I have bought graded cards. Kind of go one by one here, but Rayquaza V, 8.5. I got this off Whatnot, graded from CGC. Let me see if I can get a better look at it. It's 8.5. I think at the time it's maybe worth like $14. I think I paid $20 for it. It was part of like a random, generated it. You pay $20 and you spin the wheel and you get whatever you get, and I think I end up getting this. So it's good, but it's still cool to have a graded Rayquaza. Picked this up at Frost Giant Games, who I frequent a lot. They started to get into some of these more collector Pokemon. This is a Radiant Venusaur. It's only an 8 on the CGC, so it's not the most expensive card, but it's just cool to have. As somebody who's the original 151 Pokemon. So like Venusaur is always one of the starters that you would get after, obviously Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, then Venusaur, but it's just cool to have more stuff. Poliwrath, 5.5. This is from base set 2, a foil Poliwrath. Let me quick pull it up. So again, it's not going to be, it's not worth an insane amount of money, but going back to this Poliwrath, this card that I think I probably opened as like a 8, 9, 10-year-old kid, and now I have it here, and not this exact one that I opened, but it's just cool to have with you. Another Whatnot purchase. I got this randomly, but it's a 9. What's it? Veluza, right? Yeah, Veluza. It's a Japanese card, as you can see by the back. Let me quick just for reference. Those are the two differences for the Japanese, and then obviously the English. But that's just another card I got off Whatnot for a relatively decent price. I'll show one more. Then we'll probably take maybe a quick break. But this Dragonite, this Black Star promo, it's only a 5 graded, but I remember having this as a kid. Same thing with this Poliwrath right here. But it's wild to have this card that I remember. I think it was it the movie? No, or was it like a mailman promo? I can't exactly remember the exact way you got this card, but I remember it had something to do with it because it's like delivering something. It has this little this pouch on it, so it's crazy to have now. Like I said, all these years later. What is this? 1999 says on the card. Yeah, top right it says 1999 right there. So this is when the card came out in 1999. This was what, 2000? Yeah, 2000. That's 25 years ago. 26 years ago for 1999, and now here it is graded in a position I remember opening as a kid. So those are some of the graded. I have 3 more I'll probably show towards the end of the stream, and before we talk about what to expect on future episodes and all the type of fun we're having. So stay with us. We have one more break, and when we come back, we will wrap up the show. Cardboard Club. I'm your host, Devin Willems, here on this first episode of Cardboard Club. Just kind of going over, like I said, some of my personal stuff and the history of me, my collection, and touching on what to expect for future episodes. Touching on that, like I said, we'll normally have somebody from the station here on each episode going over like what I just did, really how they got into card collecting, what they're collecting now. Maybe opening some sealed product, I think, has been on the agenda. So it'll be fun to have interact with that. See what people pull here on the Cardboard Club. Maybe we could be lucky and get something good. But in the meantime, here I'll just quick pull up just some of the stuff that I recently got from Whatnot. It's not normally how I get my stuff. I have some actual sealed product that I opened before, but just Whatnot. It's kind of the way they got. You see all those ads, but like a Zekrom EX recently. I love the Team Rocket stuff. Team Rocket Giovanni, really, really, touching on that original nostalgic. This isn't an old card, but Giovanni was always the big bad. Unless you want to count Red, or no, was it Red? Whatever you named your rival for the first games that came out. But Team Rocket was always the thorn in the side. But just again, I'm just gonna highlight. I'll take Zekrom out of here, but some of the trainer arts for the game or for the Pokemon game are just, really unique, crazy, eye-catching, and it's awesome to have that. Another Team Rocket Proton, Roxanne right here, but just if I wish I had an older school trainer, but just the way they look now compared to what the trainers look like previously. I mean, it's almost even hard to read the text on there, but the art's what pops out, and that's another cool part of collecting here with Pokemon. So I mean, here's some of the trainers. Nothing crazy. I don't think any of those are going to get sent to get grading. If one, it would be Team Rocket's Giovanni. But I just showed you the Poliwrath here. I mean, look at the difference between the cards. I mean, this one was 1999, and now this one is recent. Was it 2000? Not even that recent. 2016, 18? Is that what it said on the bottom? Yeah, 16. I mean, this is a 17, 16-year difference. And then now look at that. And then if I go forward even a little bit more, where, you have a completely different just evolution of art that Pokemon has gone under. But yeah, I mean, I like I mentioned multiple times, the Gym Heroes are some of my favorite stuff. This isn't Gym Hero set, but Ethan's Ho-Oh EX. I picked it up at a local card shop here in Green Bay. So there's just so much, what is this? Cynthia's Garchomp EX, it's just, and then this, I randomly got a Whatnot. I think there's supposed to be an error on this one. There are error cards in all games, whether it's miscut, there's a crimp on the bottom, they have the wrong set symbol, whatever it may be. Some of those even go for more. I have to find exactly what this error was. I think it said no set symbol, but if it is, it's cool. If not, it's not the end of the world. It's a foil, hollow, lightning energy. But like I said, I still have some more graded stuff to go and just kind of end the last episode as I was touching on how, this is a first edition Dark Flareon from Team Rocket set. This was 2000. This was, I was 9-10 years old, and now I have this in my possession. It's not worth an obscene amount. It's about $17, give or take. There's not a whole lot of sixes up for sale. Normally, obviously, you want 10s. I think if it was 10, that goes over 200. It's not in the worst condition, as you can try to do my best here to bring it up. But it's cool to have, I would say. Then I have a Radiant Charizard, 9.5. This one is about, what is the price on this one? It was about $24 and a 9.5. It's almost one of those ones where you can wonder if you can trade it in, or not trade it in, break open the case resend it in to see if you can get a 10. 'Cause I think if it was a 10, I think it's obviously it'd be worth a little bit more. But a 9.5 from a CGC, still not bad. And then my big one, not big one, I don't even know why I said it was huge, but just this CGC Pristine 10 Black Label Lapras. It's about $40 in a PSA 10. There's so many different grading companies, whether it's CGC, PSA, Tag, Beckett. Everyone kind of got their own value. PSA has been the one that's the big one, but it's just cool to have a pristine 10. It's not a gem in 10 in the sense of like this is supposed to be above it. It's supposed to be like a perfect card. It's pristine 10 as opposed to just a regular 10. This one's about $40. Again, it's not worth really cool, but this is awesome that this is my first owned 10. A CGC pristine 10, let alone just any other regular 10. So, I plan to have other stuff graded, and it would be cool to see. This will be the first card that I open or get that's a grade 10. But like I mentioned, there's so much cards in collectibles in the world today that I'm excited to have more and more people on to discuss, show, reveal their hobbies, and really their passions. So that'll do it for today's episode. Stay with us. The plan is to air this weekly and multiple times on the weekend, so we'll get plenty on. But until then, thank you for tuning in here on WFRV Plus. We will see you for the next Cardboard Club episode.